was trying to go for a dreamy vibe today, but I feel like looking in the viewfinder, I'm kind of giving vampire, which is fine for this collection. What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatch review for you. So today I am partnering up with Mooncat to show you their new Baroquen collection for February 2025. Before we get into the details, if you haven't heard of Mooncat before, they are a nail polish brand that is 10 free, meaning they are free of 10 of the potentially harmful ingredients that can be found in nail polish. They are vegan, meaning they do not use any animal derived ingredients, and they're also cruelty free, meaning they do not test their products on animals. And today they just released a brand new collection of 8 polishes. We've got a variety of finishes here. We've got shimmers, we've got a magnetic, we've got a glow in the dark polish, and we also have a holo and a topper. And somehow this collection feels both very classically Mooncat while also feeling very different to their usual vibe. So I'm really excited to share these with you because I think they're very unique. And for those of you who are fans of Agatar, A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I'm a huge fan of, I have to say, this very much gives a spring court vibe to me. So I thought that was really cool as well. And if you don't know what that means, I just feel like everything is very springy and floral and romantic and sort of ethereal. So yeah, let me get into the swatches, then we can talk a little bit more about my thoughts on them, pricing, availability, all that good stuff. So roll the swatches. So as with all of my swatch and review videos, I am using base coat underneath all of my swatches just to protect my natural nail and prevent any stains. Today it's the Mooncat base coat. So I'm going to start off with the magnetic of the collection. This is La Petite Mort. I'm terrible at French accents, that was my best effort. But this one is a really beautiful blue magnetic polish. So the magnetic pigment in there is actually silver and it kind of hides the blue until you magnetize it, but you can see a little bit of that going on. Plus it also has some iridescent flakies as well as a hollow sparkle. And I'm going to start off by doing 2 coats for full opacity and then apply a 3rd coat to magnetize. And I'll show you both the cat eye style and the velvet style, starting with the cat eye style. And once I pull all of that magnetic pigment to the center of the nail, you can really see how intense that blue shimmer is, and you can also see a lot more of that iridescent flaky sparkle as well as the hollow sparkle. So it's a really dramatic polish. I think it's super fun, but it was also really interesting in the velvet style. I feel like this type of finish isn't usually amazing for the velvet style, but this one looked so cool. For some reason, it was giving me a very lunar vibe. Like it just reminded me of light reflecting off of the moon. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's just the vibe I got. It pulled all of that beautiful silvery pigment up to the front. You could still see all the blue in the background, and it just looked really intense and cool with those iridescent flakies. Next up, we have what I think is such an unexpected but fun shade for the collection. This is Castle of Cobwebs, and this is a super soft, sheer gray polish that is super packed with a blue sparkle running throughout, and you can see we have a slightly bigger sparkle in here, so it's not as teeny tiny as a shimmer, and when I move my nail around it kind of reflects the light differently. So I ended up doing 3 coats for full coverage. I feel like it had a little bit of that crelly vibe, so you could still see the barest hint of visible nail line, but it's very smooth, very consistent across the nail. It didn't feel patchy at all, and the cool thing about this polish is it's actually glow in the dark. So here it is glowing in the dark. I have to say Mooncat does glow in the dark polishes really well. They are super vibrant, and I feel like even without charging you can see them so brightly on your nails, and I have definitely scared myself in the middle of the night with these polishes. So next up we have the shade Love's Labyrinth, and this one is described as a light sage green, and it's in a linear hollow formula. Now with linear hollows, I always like to say they look the most holographic after the polish has dried. So when you're applying it, sometimes it doesn't look as holographic, and here's what it looks like when it's fully dry. You can really see how intensely sparkly it is, and honestly I don't think my lighting does the best job of showing linear hollow, so this I do think is even more sparkly in real life, and it gave me perfect coverage in 2 coats. Moving on, we have Banquet of Breadcrumbs, and this is a really funky one. In the bottle it looks like more of a green, but on the nail I found it to be a little bit more yellowy toned, and then as I built up the opacity I felt like it kind of switched around, so it really does sit somewhere between being a green and a yellow, and I think the shimmer in there also contributes to that because it's very shifty. So this one one is kind of just this lemon lime shimmery color. And first I tried it out in 2 coats, and I honestly thought it looked really cute that way as a sheer look, but I ended up building it up to really nice coverage in 3, and that covered up my visible nail line. And I think this is such an interesting formula from Mooncat. Again, not patchy at all, but it definitely has this really interesting springy sort of sheerness to it that I wasn't expecting, but I really do enjoy. Next up, we have another French name that I'm probably gonna butcher. I'm sorry in advance. This is Fleur Sauvage. Sauvage. This one is a sort of salmon orange base color, and then we've got a cooler toned pinky shimmer running throughout. And this is the same formula as the yellow green. So again, it started off with that 2 coats, and I really love that as a sheer look. I feel like this one being a more neutral kind of color feels very office appropriate. It feels like a very subtle, classy kind of manicure, but in 3 coats, I feel like it really became a lot more sparkly, and it did cover up my visible nail line. So I think it's really gorgeous either way. It kind of just depends on what my mood's gonna be. And then we have the Stolen Kiss, which is definitely my favorite of the collection. This one is a light pink base, and then it is totally packed with this duochrome shimmer that shifts between being blue to green and even into yellow at certain angles. And I just have been gravitating towards this kind of shade recently. I love the contrast between the shimmer color and that pinky base color, but I also just love this as like a very romantic, springy kind of manicure. It does feel like a nice special occasion kind of color, and it's a perfect mix between being a classic nail color while also having something very different in it. So I really enjoyed that. And then we have probably my second favorite, and this is Such Sweet Sorrow, and this one is a really interesting color. It's kind of this dusty navy blue base, and then within it we have this really intense purple sparkle, and that color combo always just gets me. So of course I knew I was gonna love this one as soon as I saw it in the bottle. Again, we have a really nice contrast between that sort of subtle base color and that really intensely saturated shimmer. And again, I think it looks really beautiful in 2 and 3 coats, and I feel like all of these shimmers could also be worn as toppers, so I'll probably experiment with that in a short soon, but loved the way that this one looked in 3 coats. I feel like this is really an any time of year color. And last but not least, we have the topper Hall of Mirrors, and this one is a silver flaky in a clear base, and this one was really fun as well. I feel like it's definitely more of that jewelry silver kind of tone because it was slightly warm tinged, but I think this is a really great topper for over any color. Here it is over black, and I love the size of the flakies in here. We've got a few different sizes, but overall they lean a little bit smaller, so they kind of scatter more over the nail, which I think is really beautiful, and I think that would also be really nice for a more delicate gradient type of look, so I might play around with this one as well. And here are all the shades together. I have to say I really enjoyed these, and I'm honestly a little surprised with myself because these do feel like such typical spring colors, but there's just something very unique about them. I think that the shimmers being sheer was such an interesting decision from them that I really ended up enjoying. Obviously, you guys know I love a jelly formula. I love a sheer that has a good formula where it's not patchy, even if I do want to wear it as a more sheer look. But I just think the color combinations here are stunning, and overall I'm really intrigued by this lighter palette. I feel like it's not something we usually see from Mooncat. It's definitely more soft and romantic and dreamy, but it ends up just working really beautifully for this time of year, and I feel like a lot of these I could make work for any time because they feel a little bit more neutral or multi-seasonal to me, so I really enjoyed that. And also I have to say, especially the more cool tones feel like a great transition from winter into spring, so love that. But let's talk about it a little bit more. Okay, so those are the polishes, and like I said, I think it's so interesting to see this collection from Mooncat, and I don't really understand why I feel this way, but it does just feel so classically Mooncat while also feeling so different. I think just having those very dreamy, light, ethereal kind of colors, especially in this slightly sheer kind of formula, feels like a departure from their usual, but they still manage to bring so much of their usual style into that, whether it be with the magnetic or the glow in the dark or the color combinations, and even the names of the polishes still feel very Mooncat to me. And I really love this vibe for springtime. I think these are so fun. I think they're so sparkly and beautiful, and I think they look really beautiful together as well. So yeah, overall a big hit for me. I'm pleasantly surprised surprised because I feel like I'm not always a big fan of the classic spring vibe. And I feel like this is a classic spring vibe, but it's so much more sparkly and colorful than I'm used to seeing this time of year. So I think that's what makes me really attached to it. So now let's get into pricing and availability. The polishes come in the usual 12 milliliter bottles, and they do feature a wide flat brush that has a rounded tip, so application's super easy. And the price does vary based on the formula. So the topper retails for $14 USD, the shimmers retail for $15 USD, and the magnetic retails for $16 USD. And you can also buy the full set of 8 polishes that retails on the Mooncat website for $108 USD. So I'm gonna link everything down below. You can check them out if you're interested, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What do you think of this collection? And would you say that this is different from the usual Mooncat vibes? Let me know in the comments. We can chat about it. If you enjoy my swatch and review videos, please hit that like button. It really helps me out. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe. I love you all, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye. Today's would you rather question is, would you rather ask for help or figure it out on your own? I would say in general, I'm very much an ask for help person. A lot of people want to try to figure out things for themselves, and I totally respect that, but I feel like it would take me more time and frustration to figure something out by myself if there's somebody who is able to help me. And I'm not saying in like a lazy way. Like obviously I want to be able to do stuff myself and feel accomplished. But like if it's a case of building furniture or carrying something heavy or doing some sort of cooking thing and there's somebody available to help me, I would of course ask them for help. And same for like asking for directions if I need it. I would always be happy to ask somebody because I just feel like it saves time and frustration. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. We can chat about it, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.